Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakorash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. And as always, we give peace and salutations unto the elect. And the cruel Lord, all right, Donald Trump, who we know he's working and doing the bidding of the elite, all right, to pretty much, weaken the people further, weaken the economy further, and ultimately prepare, all right, this system to be dismantled, to be brought into the new system, all right, which is associated with their NWO, the Charagma, and everything we've been prophesying of, all right, through the Holy Spirit. All right, now, this man hasn't been in office, all right, that long, and look already at what he's bringing. There was a euphoria, nostalgia for a lot of Edomites, when he first got in, but now that he's operating and dismantling jobs, and pretty much nothing's getting better for the working class, you're starting to now see people renege, all right, and you're starting to see the uproars. I mean, again, they dangled, a man is a man. A man can no longer go into a woman's bathroom. A man can't compete in women's sports. A woman can't compete in men's sports. You can no longer identify as this. They dangled that in front of people because the left, stunk up the field, the Democrats. So they were able to dangle that in people's face, as Trump is the savior. But now, as he's operating along with Elon Musk doing the bidding of the elite, all right, every time you look up, there's new tariffs. If you're working at these offices or you're working at jobs, things are getting tighter. If you have your own business, all right, import, outport, everything's getting more difficult. You're having to switch your strategy. You're having to, switch who you're buying from. Things are getting tough, all right, on businesses, period. Not even people who own them, but, even, the big dogs. All right, so I wanted to play this video. As you can see, protesters across the U.S. rally against Trump and Musk, telling him to stop destroying America, man. And this is only going to get worse.
Yeah, block the stairs. You have to go down, please.
Good evening, I'm John Yang. Across the country and around the world today, tens of thousands of people turned out for what organizers say has been the biggest single day of protest against President Trump and his second-term policies and actions. In this country, more than 1,000 rallies were planned in small towns and major cities from coast to coast. Ali Rogan begins our coverage.
In Washington, crowds descended on the National Mall, calling for lawmakers to rein in President Trump.
He's right now destroying our economy. He's taken away all of our allies. We're a pariah in the world. And Congress sits back and does nothing.
The mass protest, dubbed the Hands-Off National Day of Action, was organized by advocacy groups that oppose the president's policies during his first term.
All right, and we'll get back to that, but this is prophecy. 2 Esdras 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the times diligently. And it's only so long people are going to be able to say, well, that been happening. Y'all been saying that. Eventually these things are going to hit. And, if you're already feeling the squeeze, even we feel the squeeze, although we good. All right, and we have the Holy Spirit as a foretaste, and we have hope. These people don't have hope. You see that that baloney-filled American, in the interview Their hope is that America continues. Their hope is that things get better for them. But again, we know things are going to get worse because they're getting ready to dismantle and collapse this particular system that you've been living in. Life as you knew it changed from 2020 until now. That marked them, that Ovid thing, which was a wealth transfer. The rich got richer and the poor got poor. And they're getting ready to come with another demic. But that from that point on marked the very beginning of the end, which it's been the beginning, but that was a very special time in their left-hand magic and ritual to bring forth this NWO. So we're supposed to be measuring the times diligently. Not saying all that been happening, that already happened, nah, that ain't gonna lead to nothing, nah. And you got Israelites leaving, comments saying, y'all just want the world to end, y'all gonna manifest Jacob's trouble. Well, we want prophecy to be fulfilled because all of these things were foretold. As we're reading here, we're supposed to measure the times diligently. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So the Lord's visiting this place. As the scriptures say, we need to know and understand what the will of the Lord is. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, okay, then shall thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So we're witnessing the word be fulfilled. And to us, that's intriguing. And to us, we want more of it. We know and understand that through some of these, through the dismantling of this system, we may suffer. All right. But as we read last night at the class, if it's for the kingdom of heaven's sake, we bear it. That's the mindset we got to have. But the Lord is going to take care of us because all of these things and all of these moves that Trump is making, as we read here in Isaiah the 19th chapter, it says, in the Egyptians, America, all right, America is the modern day Egypt, man, will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts. And then as you keep reading, it goes into economic collapse. Okay, people who work in these different, corporations in the system of, it's all being dismantled. Okay. Verse 8, the fishermen will lament for lack of work. Those who cast hooks into the Nile will groan. And the modern day Nile is the Mississippi River. Okay. That's being dried up. Okay. Everything's pretty much going backwards. And while Trump is making all of these moves, he's telling you Americans to be patient. But while you're being told to be patient, your everyday situation is getting worse. Okay. And who's benefiting? Okay, the elite, while the working class continue to suffer, man. And as you can read, and their counsel is being confounded. Okay? As you keep reading, it talks about it ain't gonna be no work for Egypt, man. Okay, the Lord has mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. Verse 15, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. People are losing jobs. Okay, particular products are going to get higher because of the tariffs. Okay, now he's messing around with China. And who do these tariffs, I typed this in, who do these tariffs affect? Okay, what will be the immediate effects of Trump's tariffs on China? Who will suffer the most? And it's more than just China. If Trump were to reimpose or expand tariffs on China, which he has proposed to doing, which he did, there would likely be several immediate effects with impacts across consumers, businesses, spread across consumers, businesses, all right, and global markets. Higher prices for customers. See that? The consuming class, the working class, are the ones who buy things. Okay, but what are you going to see? Higher prices. Okay, disruption in supply chains, retaliatory measures by China, and China is talking about now putting tariffs on America. So it's just a back and forth, which in the grand scheme of things, the people who are labeled the working class are being wiped out. It's no more middle class, pretty much. It's now becoming rich and poor, and now they're putting even more squeeze on you with all of these tariffs, man. And we'll get deeper into the tariffs, Lord willing. I'm going to do a news and prophecy tonight. It's been a lot going on, so it's been hard to get one in, but Lord willing, I'll do one tonight. But again, who suffers the most is American consumers, especially low-income households, you Israelites. Okay? And of course, you got the poor of the heathen, and that's why they're out there marching. That's why they're out there protesting, man. Okay, people, as a matter of fact, I was looking this up. People are DoorDashing Taco Bell. Let's get this real quick. Yeah, Trump is warning major tariffs coming soon on pharmaceuticals. Yeah, DoorDash and Klarna partner to offer an eat now, pay later plan. So people are so jacked up, okay, and catching so much hell, they're doing a payment plan on a taco. Okay, this is the times we living in, man. Give me 1 second. Okay, these are the times we living in. Okay, you're doing a payment plan on lunch. All right, and this is the perplexity spoken of in the book of Luke, the 21st chapter. Many Americans are struggling to afford basic necessities, all right, for particular items due to rising cost of living, including housing, food, healthcare, transportation. And now you got these tariffs that are only going to make things worse. Okay? Many Americans, all right, can't afford life anymore. And they don't matter to the economy like they once did. Again, the working class has been ignored. Okay? The only ones who's been uplifted and liberated are freaks, perverts, pedos, weirdos, regular people who, man, woman, child, families, certain women were able to benefit off of particular aspects of the program, but overall, families, people who really matter the most to the society and who keep this thing going, they through. Okay, they can't afford to live anymore. They can't afford life. So what is this going to lead to? More uproars, more perplexity, more uncertainty. Okay? And this is what the elite want. All right? It's going to lead to civil unrest and people losing their damn minds, man. Years of elevated prices have strained all but the wealthiest consumers, and low and middle income Americans say something needs to change. See that? So these are the times we in, man. See that? EU just approved first set of retaliatory tariffs on U.S. imports. And as that woman said, okay, America is losing its allies day by day. So the Lord has a spirit on Trump to fulfill prophecy, man. And the beast shall hate the whore is the prophecy. That's one of the main prophecies as well that we're looking forward to. And it's happening. The EU countries, NATO countries, they're pretty much, all right, through the way that America, all right, Babylon the Great, who's looking more stout than his fellows, is moving, these different countries are kind of taken back. All right, and all of these type of wars lead to physical wars, trade wars, monetary wars, okay, proxy wars. They all going to lead to physical war. Okay, and this is what we need. So this is why we need to be measuring the times diligently. We see these things happen. It's not happening for no reason. It's happening for us. As the scriptures say, when you see these things, lift your head up because you know that your salvation draw nigh. We're not here to be depressed about these things. Yes, we're going to suffer. Yes, things are going to be higher. All right, but the Lord got us this for how much more getting us to the end. So now you have the EU retaliating on the tariffs Trump put on them. All right, with tariffs on U.S. imports. Okay, China fires back with 84% retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods in response to Trump. Okay, Trump warns that major tariffs are coming soon on foreign pharmaceuticals, man. Okay? The bomb in Iran. Trump ready to unleash tariffs on China to at least 104% beginning Wednesday. Okay?
President Trump went out into the Rose Garden and announced these new across-the-board tariffs that he had been hinting at for a very long time. And this hits almost every nation and definitely hits our largest trading partners. So we're talking about tariff rates as high as 34% on China, 20% from goods from the European Union, and almost, no country was spared here. And President Trump has been calling this Liberation Day, liberation from U.S. consumers having to pay for foreign goods. He wants to bring manufacturing back domestically, and he thinks this is the right way to do it, even though almost every economy says this could really hurt U.S. consumers. President Trump's ultimate goal of bringing bringing manufacturing from abroad back to the U.S. That's not going to happen overnight. It takes time for factories to get built up. It takes time to hire workers. This is why President Trump acknowledges that there may be short-term pain, but he's already declaring victory. In a social media post this morning, he said the operation is over, the patient has survived. But if you look at almost all economic indicators, that's not necessarily the case right now. But there's no doubt that this is wreaking much havoc on the global economy. And world leaders have said and told President Trump, told the White House, that they don't like tariffs. They don't like this tit-for-tat trade war that's going to result if the United States goes ahead with these tariffs. But once the U.S. imposes their own taxes, other countries say they have no choice but to impose their own tariffs.
This is the Nation's Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. The real reason Donald Trump is destroying the economy. Well, that's a very good title for an article, but of course we know that none of these mainstream media outlets, liberal or conservative, are going to tell the American people the real reason that Donald Trump is destroying the economy. And as you heard, stock markets are plummeting, but not just in America, around the world right now. And what's different this time is just that it's not just the U.S. economy that's being tanked. It's the global economy that's being tanked. We've obviously seen...
Because they have to collapse it in order to bring about this NWO, to justify digital money. Okay? Things are going to get significantly worse. Okay? And there's going to be major uproars. There's going to be, all right, all kind of stuff is getting ready to start happening. It's going to be a hot summer. All right? We're in those times, man. But there's a plan behind what Trump is doing. Okay? You have certain people who can see the good in it. And long term, okay, it actually can help America. But we know ain't no long term. Okay, things are going to get so bad that they're going to have to justify bringing in a new system. All right, it's going to be grid attacks. They're already talking about it's going to be another Ovid. Okay, another demic. So just you throw that in, another 2020 situation that's even worse with all of this that's going on. People are going to lose it. People are already worn out. Okay?
Times where the stock market has gone down. We've been trained when the stock market goes down to assume that it's going to go back up. But is this the time that the economy, that the stock market finally tanks for good? Because in order to move forward with Agenda 2030 and the New World Order, the dollar has to tank. Global economies have to tank. And while many people were thinking that a world war would bring about economic destruction, how about just good old-fashioned sabotage, like I've been saying for years now? Sabotage, sabotage, sabotage. While nobody can make any sense of the tariffs that are going on, everybody's turning a blind eye to it and not realizing the plan has been death to America all along. Remember in Leave the World Behind, that movie that so perfectly Barry Sortoro, Barack Obama's production company, produced, that told us how they were going to bring down America? Remember that?
I'm flying middle of nowhere, dropping off thousands of these. I have no idea what it says. Death to America. What? Death to America. But this part, it definitely means death to America. I remember from the game I was playing. Death to America.
Of course, that movie had the blueprint in it and the things that are to come. But Trump's tariffs have shocked the global markets at levels unseen since the pandemic. And for anybody out there, I've been saying it for a while. I've been saying it since the pandemic. If you thought that that was the Great Reset, think again. The Great Reset involves bringing down global economies. Agenda 2030 is all about bringing in a new world order. And Donald Trump is the one who's doing it. And the MAGA conservatives can't even see it. Why? Well, because they constantly get distracted with manufactured news stories that keep them stuck in the left-right paradigm and divided with their neighbors over political affiliations, right? That's why stories like this have come out in the last couple of days, and they're obsessed with it, right? Say his name, Austin Metcalf. Supposed story of a young teenager who was killed at a high school track meet in Texas. Of course, conveniently, he was killed by a black person because when...
And again, every 4 years, it's the same story. It's always some situation, all right, that brings, division. All right, the last time it was, the George Floyd thing. It's every year. It's every 4 years. It's kind of like the same cycle. Could this be a real situation? Yeah, but this type of stuff happens every day. But this is now captivating the minds of the people, and Esau Edom is on a tear right now. Esau Edom is tapping back into that scientific racism. You go on the internet, you go on Twitter or X, brothers send me the post. Esau Edom, usual suspects. All right, they're bringing out statistics that blacks are just inherently stupid and aggressive and psycho and savage. You got Matt Walsh, the justifying what happened to our people, all right, by basically saying they're subhuman. Esau Edom is tapping back into that ancient spirit, and the spirit had the Elder Requia Quam bring that out. And then I did videos on it too. Esau's tapping back into that scientific racism. So they have everybody right where they want them. They have all of the divisions necessary. Okay, but yeah, this situation happened not too far from here, and brothers going back and forth about it. Well, look, at the end of the day, man. At the end of the day, okay, we got to keep our eyes on the elites. Now, you can have your opinion about the situation. Should he have stabbed him? Should he have been over at the other teams? At the end of the day, this could all be made up. Again, they keep your minds captivated with these kind of stories. You see?
You have a black person and a white person, and you have Democrats and Republicans, and you have all these means to divide the people. Why wouldn't you create a story like this? Conveniently, if you didn't know, he also happens to have a twin brother who's doing interviews. It couldn't be Austin Metcalf, could it? Who's doing the interviews right after he's been stabbed, and his father doing interviews, and his mom doing interviews, right? Not grieving too long. And of course, how convenient, and nobody would ever think that they would stage and put Austin Metcalf's brother on the news, and that maybe it could actually be the guy that we're told tragically was killed in a track meet. But this is manufactured news. So while their boy Donald Trump is killing...
We're living at a high time of witchcraft, man. I wish I can go to some more stuff, but Lord willing, I'm going to do a news and prophecy later. It takes me a while to warm up. So now it's all kind of stuff coming to my head, but hey, we in Babylon, so we got to do what we got to do. But yeah, we're in some very, very interesting times, and they've been found out. Okay, they've lost control of the narrative. So the next thing is going to be a collapse. It's going to be some type of attack, some type of event is getting ready to happen. All right, because they're going to need to justify shutting people up. They're going to need to justify, all right, getting stricter with the digital ID. It's already happening. Okay, you're getting online, and you're going to have to identify yourself to get online. Okay, things are getting ready to get tight, man. Damn.
In the economy, this is what all the big libs of TikTok, all the controlled media is talking about. They're not talking about sabotaging the economy, how the tariff plan is a disaster plan, how it's a disaster for consumers, civilians. They're talking about this stuff that comes out, right? Fox News, hug your babies tight, grieving mother and brother, the identical twin, on Fox News that evening, very shortly after all this stuff went on, and everybody is in an uproar. It's trending all over. These are the other stories that are out there. Police say they've caught Tesla.
And they show him with a damn cross chain on, like the Edomite is just this saint. Even when these Edomite, serial killers pop up, they always show a baby picture, But all of them got to go. The 2/3 and Esau, all of y'all got to go. Okay? We know that Esau's the devil, but 2/3 of our people got to go too. So at the end of the day, that's the last thing we give a damn about. Every day, the people are just being blown to smithereens. So one guy going back to the spirit world, now we got to stop and investigate who was wrong. And there's always room left to argue and debate about. Like with the George Floyd, the knee thing. Did the police knee kill him, or was he dead, nigga? Now he got a statue.
Bubblegum vandalizer. This is the nonsense that these people in the conservative MAGA party care about. They see the picture, right? Perfectly. I mean, you couldn't have come up with an AI image of what you would define a liberal Democrat person to look like, right? A woman, what they call them, butch with short hair, a bubblegum vandalizer. They're obsessed with all this stuff going on with Tesla. They're obsessed with these stories about a poor white kid. How come we're not having any white lives matters things going on when a white boy stabbed by a black child? This is what they've manufactured, and they've manufactured it for a reason. So when things like this happen out in the open where it's obvious and you can see Donald Trump sabotaging the economy, these people are just taking the bait that the government's feeding them with manufactured news and caring about these types of stories instead of waking up and saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe Trump really is one of them. Maybe this is the great reset. Maybe all that is actually true. Maybe he is a traitor. No, they're too busy. So Trump tweets out, the operation is over. The patient lived and is healing. The prognosis is that the patient will be far stronger, bigger, better, and more resilient than ever before. Make America great again, right? And you think that that kind of a response to the stock market tanking, especially when Donald Trump has been somebody who's been so vocal about when Democrats like Biden are in power, how the economy, if it goes down for a day or two or for a week, that they need to be impeached. But now that he's in office, well, the operation is over. The patient lived. He's trying to give people hope that in the long run, this is better for America. But as we know, time is their friend, not ours. And as time goes on and people become desensitized to the destruction of the market, they'll just keep getting distracted by design, by little stories like the ones I just told you. Instead of saying,
see that they're trying to tell you American people to be patient while they fix the mess that was made by the left. Meanwhile, life for you is getting worse. See that? The hell that nigga looking at? What life for you is getting worse.
wow, is Trump a part of this? Maybe the people need to rise up and realize that your vote doesn't count, that these people do work together. But the people on Twitter and social media, they sum it up perfectly where their mindset's at, right? Bob Parsons, absolutely stand with Trump. The Great American Reset has been a long time coming. Here's another guy, another parent social influencer, Nick Sortor, right? And this is the stuff he's telling his audience. This is how easy it is to deceive these people. Breaking, World Economic Forum founder Klaus Schwab has informed the board he will be resigning. Another massive blow to globalism, thanks to President Trump.
So there's a lot happening, man. You know, I wish I can go further, but you know, pray for me. Pray for your brother, man. All right, we in some very trying times. Hey, we all catching hell on in our own way. Each individual has a hell already, you know, planned out for them, and you just got to walk through it. All right, but hey, the work is still being done. Lord willing, the edification is still going out. But we do got to get back on these news, you know, and prophecies. Obadiah, verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee. So Esau is moving in a very proud manner. And also, we know the two horns like a lamb is in play. Okay, Revelation, the 13th chapter and 11th verse, man. And I beheld another piece coming up out of the earth, having two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So they're getting ready to speak as a dragon. They came as a lamb. You know, they had the left-right paradigm. Now, okay, they're bringing the necessary moves, all right, to shut things down, to justify taking away your rights, dismantle your constitution, okay, and make life hell for you. People who just got promotions in certain jobs are having to what? All right, be moved around because their jobs aren't secure. All kind of horror stories people are catching, and pretty soon they're going to be justified in making a move on the American people. Okay, taking away your 401k, taking away what you got in your bank account, taking away your Social Security checks. These are the things that's coming down the pipe, okay, which is going to lead to what we were reading, man, even more. Okay, what we were reading, let's see, where were we? Here. Uproars of the people, man. So hopefully I'll edify, Lord willing, we'll be back with more, man. Shalom.